This is episode 74.
Welcome to the Ultimate Deck Podcast.
Ultimate Deck Podcast.
Helping you keep your finger firmly pressed on the decking industry, the people in it, and the information you need to master the backyard. And now, host of the Ultimate Deck Podcast, Shane Chapman.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Regina, Saskatchewan, on fire today. It's snowing again.
I just like...
What in the blue hell is going on with the weather in this place?
I wore shorts.
You wore shorts because it was 14 yesterday.
I've decided it's short weather, so now shorts are on.
There was no reason to think it wasn't going to be short.
It's like, you know that dress for the job you want?
Yeah.
I've dressed for the weather I want. That's what's happened now. Shorts.
Good call. I don't know that it worked.
Not today,
but
might
yeah,
tomorrow,
we go from so 14 Celsius we're talking here. That's, I don't know what that is. What is that? 60? Let's call it 60. It was 60 degrees yesterday. Today,
Oh no.
it might be 65. 70? Probably not 70.
Nobody knows.
But anyways, then today it's not like below zero today. It's not freezing, but it is snowing somehow.
It's awful.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Regardless, that's enough about the weather. What's happening in Simcoe today? We didn't look it up.
Nothing.
I asked Mike to put some information about Simcoe today, and he said nothing's happening here.
It's just on lockdown.
It's all locked down, so there's nothing going on.
Yeah, Ontario's closed.
So,
as they should be. They got a lot of cases there.
Yeah. Anyway,
Saskatchewan's doing good.
we have a guest today, and this is exciting.
Guests
and
are
this
always
came
fun.
together. This came together last minute. He sent me messages like, "Hey, if you guys are ever looking for a guest, I'd be interested. I think we maybe could do some cool content." And I was like, "Sure. What are you doing Saturday?"
And you were like,
"This is on like Thursday."
You're like, imagine this. I haven't planned.
Yeah, you called. You've reached out more than an hour before the show, so I haven't thought about what we're doing yet. So let's make this happen. So today,
Text me your phone number.
we've got a guest, Andy Henley from Hen-house Decks, and this is good because he's built some cool stuff. So we're gonna dial him in right now. Yep, go ahead and dial him. He's on the Instagram Live too. So if people want to ask questions, they can ask questions on the Instagram Live. We'll read them on the podcast, and he will answer them. So that'll be great. Let's see if he actually answers his phone here.
Hello?
So, there he is. Andy, how you doing?
You can hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, how about you guys?
We're doing great. Yeah, listen, our store is actually not technically open today. Normally, on a normal year, we're open on Saturdays by now, but this year being all messed up in all sorts of ways, we haven't opened on Saturdays yet, but the phone wouldn't stop ringing down there. And so we were a little bit late getting this thing going, so I apologize for wasting some of your time, but welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries.
Good. So I've watched your stuff, and I know some of the projects you've built, but I know very little. I haven't spent any time researching you. I haven't creeped you on Facebook. I don't even know where you live. Why don't we start with that? Where are you out of?
So I'm out of Ohio. I'm actually close to Akron or the Cleveland market.
Okay.
I'm in a town called Uniontown, Ohio. So little podunk town south of Akron.
Okay. And what kind of market are you looking at here? Is it a fairly good-sized market then, or how many people are there?
Yeah. Looks like we're getting some feedback. Somebody said my phone won't go to Paul's 100. I can't get your volume all the way down, so I don't know if we have feedback or not.
It might be happening. The podcast, I think, is okay, but the IG might be picking it up. I know that we've had that before. I know you can't mute, right, Bryce? You can't mute an IG Live. I don't know why you can't do that. You can't turn the volume all the way down, but it might help to move your phone a little bit further back from you if you can. I'm not sure, but try to block that speaker as much as you can from that picking up. The podcast will be okay. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Let us know. Someone let us know if there's still feedback.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. How many people there? What kind of market are we looking at?
It's a pretty big market. I mean, I cover Northeast Ohio. I'm not sure number-wise how big the market would be, but I mean, it's quite a big market. I mean, there's several deck people out there that in our market that is pretty big fish, as they say, and we all stay busy. And I mean, there's a ton of decks going on in Ohio. So
good. How about right now? Are you guys locked down in any capacity, or are you still kind of free to be doing what you do?
You know what? We're blessed. We're actually free to do what we do. I have a couple guys have taken off, which is cool, and so my crews are limited. Actually, right now I have one guy actually just built a deck by himself, and he actually thought it was quite refreshing.
Good.
He thought it was actually quite refreshing that he was able to do that because it just he was able to work by himself. So
yeah.
And my other crew's got two guys on there.
So you run 2 crews then? That's your normal size of?
I have 2 crews with the possibility of 3. Yep. And my third is like my weekend warrior, basically is what we call him, because he works in construction, and he'll come out and pick up some slack for us in the weekends or something. And he actually can hammer out a deck as long as sections are lined up and stuff. He can start on a Friday and by either Sunday, or if he has to come back on the evening Monday, wrap that project up. So
awesome.
Obviously, we're not giving him the guitar deck and some of the cool stuff we're doing, but he's hitting out those 16 by 16 squares, So
awesome.
That's awesome to have a flex guy like that can be there when you have, when you need it, to kind of flex that capacity a bit. That's a pretty handy thing to have.
That's sort of how you started, right? You were like evenings and
all
weekends.
about flex.
Yeah, evenings and weekends. Shane would work his regular gig and then crush it on the weekends. So,
yeah, why not? So tell us a bit about yourself, Andy, and about the company. So I guess a little bit personal first. Are you?
Do you like long walks on the beach?
How much of our Instagram direct messages were true? Do you actually have a wife and a girlfriend, or is there any kids? What's the actual story there?
No. It's just my work phone, but
let's out him on the podcast.
Does your wife listen to the podcast?
No, I don't think she has it. She might have an Instagram actually. No, she I have 2 phones, and I always just tell people, this one's from a wife, this one's from a girlfriend, just joking around, but. To be honest, I need to separate business and work. So business and pleasure. So I keep the work phone, in the truck or something when I'm with my family, because I hate to be out to dinner, and I always feel obligated to answer a question to a customer, and sometimes that's just not fair to my family if I'm out to eat and I got to step away to answer a question or something. So I actually got 2 lines, and I love it. So it's just weird to carry 2 phones sometimes.
People often ask us, how does work-life balance, I don't know why they ask us, but they ask us how work-life balance works. And that maybe is a good hack, good life tip there, to have a separate phone. So you can kind of leave that one behind sometimes, but still not be disconnected from your friends and family.
Would you do that though? Would you still not have your Instagram icon on your phone?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm no good at that. And so
it would just
to
mean
your
I'd
point,
carry them both around, they'd both be buzzing.
Yeah, I'd be able to work on 2 phones, and I'd be able to text people on both.
Yeah.
So to your point, Andy, when an Instagram icon goes off or a Facebook message goes off, I feel obligated to answer that because a customer or you or somebody has messaged me, and I don't want them to wait. And so if I didn't know about the message, it wouldn't bother me. But as soon as I know about it, it's I have to deal with this now.
Yeah, it's an impulsive behavior that we really need to, as husbands and spouses, need to get some control over. Yep. But it's pretty tough when you're the business owner and your life, especially now, right? Especially now when everybody's going I don't know what's going to happen here. We need to be able to, there's a fear you want to answer that call and in hopes that there's something coming, that there's a revenue coming from that call. So, still echoing, they say on the podcast.
Here, let me try this. Let me try this. Let's just do this. Maybe that'll help the echo.
Oh, you were on speakerphone. This is way better already.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know I.
Andy, this
bad.
is way better. I feel like we should start over. No, that's good because that sounds better.
I do
on the
need
podcast
some headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do need some headphones. I'm sorry. We should hit the reset button. So
no, that's all good. Hopefully, I'm sure the community on Instagram will let us know if that's better now. But I think it is. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Thumbs up. People are saying,
please.
"Oh, we're just crushing it now."
Okay, so
Okay.
you have a wife, no girlfriend. What else? Do you like fishing?
Yeah.
Do you like hunting?
No, I have a wife. I have two children. One's 3. One she'll be 6 actually on Wednesday. So,
Sweet.
and with this lockdown thing, we're gonna actually have like a little car parade for her, which is kind of cool, I guess.
That's awesome.
People just drive by and say happy birthday and honk a horn and keep moving, I guess. So,
Awesome.
she actually is looking forward to it.
I've seen that on a couple social media posts from people. These car drive by parade things. It's kind of it's cool way to do things nowadays.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, wish her a happy birthday from us. Not that she cares.
Yeah. The who?
From who?
Who
Oh,
guys?
she's 6. She'll take a happy birthday from anybody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and my wife, I actually, the name Hen-house Decks, I created that by taking my family names, Henley and Great House, and I made Hen-house. So everybody thinks, we're somebody will Google me, and so every now and then I get, hey, you guys build chicken coops, things like that, and no, we don't do that. So.
Let's tell the whole story. How many chicken coops have you built in your life? You've built 1 or 2.
You know what? I personally haven't, but my brother-in-law's worked with me, which is why it's a family business.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Billy, who's who's pretty much my right-hand man, he's built a few chicken coops already, so we could probably start manufacturing those
Not
if
completely
we
out
have
of
to.
the realm.
Maybe a chicken coop will be more essential than a deck someday here soon.
Yeah.
We'll just
Could
have
be.
to do that.
Could be. Just skirt your decks in with chicken wire, call it a chicken coop, and keep working through this essential stoppage.
You might be onto something.
So how long you guys been doing this then? It's a family business, it sounds like, but this isn't your first rodeo. You built a bloody deck that looks like a guitar. That probably wasn't the first one.
Yeah, and I didn't, by the way, listening to the other podcast, we didn't use scraps in the back of our yard like you guys said in the one time. But then after you said it, I got to thinking I probably could have and saved a little bit more money. But
Could have cleared out the garage.
but the problem is all the transcend I put on that, they switched the wood grain. So if I had old wood grain, I probably would have been able to do that. But
Yep.
I had to use all new stuff. So, and I still am sitting on a lot of old transcends. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got started. I got started in this industry. I sold Pro Cell. You guys remember what Pro Cell was?
Yep.
Yeah. Original AZAC.
Yeah. So it's AZAC Deck now, and so what I did was I got started selling Pro Cell directly for Pro Cell. It was just finding dealers and just kind of repping that product, and then that led me, after they lost distribution, that led me to working for a lumber yard, and then I met another individual. We created a company together, and we lasted 7 years or so, and then I branched away from him and started Henhouse Decks sometime around 16. I can't remember. Might have been around 2016-ish, late summer. I branched off. So
Okay. So in spite of the quality of work, you're putting out fairly young company. Just kind of going into year 4/5.
well, yeah, the guys that work for me were they all have great construction backgrounds. The one guy, Kenny's the one who built the guitar deck. Kenny, I call him a wizard. He's like a Rain Man when it comes to building decks. Like he can sit there and he just sees all these numbers flashing in front of him. That's how he starts building the deck. So
Awesome.
and he's the one that was working by himself. And actually today, after this podcast, I'm going to go out and do with my drone. I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of the deck he just did. It's pretty sick. I'm excited to show people. So
Sweet.
but he's probably got 30 years. He's probably got a good 20, 25 years worth of experience under his belt. So I'm, as for being a young company, Henhouse, yes, experience. I think we have more experience than most guys. So
Awesome. I got to ask it because so far we're 3 for 3. Does everybody on your crews have a name that ends in Y?
you know what? Let me think about this.
We got Billy, we got Andy,
You got
and we
you got Billy, you've got Kenny, you've got Andy. Well, then my brother does sales though, so you got Adam. You got Kurt, but we call him Curdy. So, and then we got Cody. Jesus, and then
Jesus.
we got Jeff. We can call him Jeffrey. So,
On to something.
We
yeah,
gotta get a
I
name
guess
for
so.
Adam. We gotta find a name for Adam.
Adam's
What's
no longer
Adam's
Adam.
last name?
well, Adam's last name is my brother, so Henley. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Done.
This is
Yeah.
weird.
That's a hockey. That's straight hockey. Always by the guy's last name, and then put a E on the end of it.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. And so no chicken coops. You guys, I think you do like just decks. Do you guys ever take any other projects on, or are you solely a specialized deck builder?
Yeah, we're mostly decks. Yeah, I mean, we're 99.9% decks. I mean, we'll do fences. Fences kind of go, we have all the material, like the capabilities of building the fence while the deck's going on. We can kind of get that project going for customers. So we've been offering that more and more. I'm tapping into staining decks, but most of the time it's just we're just straight up deck builders. We can put roofs over the deck, things like that. But we take pride in being able to say we're a deck company. We don't offer other services. I mean, to me, I value our craft, so I want to make sure that we're excelling in that.
Love it.
Yeah, I'd say you are right now. That's for sure.
Bryce, are you going to alert me to comments, or do I have to worry about this? You're gonna give me a heads up.
The staining of decks, Andy. When did you start getting into that, and why? What was the purpose behind that?
People keep asking, "Hey, do you guys stain decks?" And it seems like it's a very vague market out here. Actually, I mean, there's really nowhere you can go. It's almost like people just end up doing it themselves, or hiring like maybe a local handyman. I've been buying some like KDAT lumber and stuff, and possibly staining it before we even go out there to the job. So when we install it, we stain it. But with these new products that the composites, have all, TimberTech, Trax, Fiberon, they've all released these budget boards. And by the time you factor in the cost of staining and putting it all on there, it's not that much more to just go to a straight up composite. So I am finding a little bit of a conflict in between the staining and just might as well just push them to a entry level composite. So
yeah, I think that's the same. The staining thing is, I believe that's every market. We have that happen here lots where people will come in. I built a cedar deck, 5 years ago, and now I need to refinish it. Who do I call? And I was like, I don't know. You could try a painting company, I guess. I don't know of anybody that actually just stains decks. And so, to your point, they were asking for it. So just do that. Just stain it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have my dad works for me, and he's kind of like the jack of all trades in the sense of, he'll drop off trailers to different places, pick parts up, pieces, and then to keep him even busy, I've been offering the staining, so he'll come and he'll stain, and it's just kind of keeping him, out of trouble, basically. So
sweet. How do you guys find? We don't have this available to us, but how do you find the KDAT lumber? Kiln dried after treatment for people that don't know.
In Ohio, I feel like we're blessed. We have good suppliers out here in Ohio. There's good lumber yards. We got kind of there's a place down south, Millersburg, Holmes County. It's kind of Amish country, and they're real. There's a big selection down there. I mean, there's multiple yards. When all the like for instance, Trex or something, they had some material issues for people, but not in our market, because there's like 7 suppliers. If one didn't have it, I could just go to another supplier and they have it, different lengths and stuff like that. I stay loyal to my suppliers, but if they don't have it, they don't have it. So
do you find the benefit of using it? Like, do you find that it's much more stable, doesn't shrink off or twist or crack or cup or anything as much as the soak and wet stuff does?
No, if I'm being honest, I don't see I mean, I guess if you're going to stain a deck right away, I see the benefit to it, but right. I do think it's less knotty if you're using it as a 5/4 board on a deck, but
okay.
But it's I've been building some lately, and I feel that using just a straight up premium 2x6 deck board, I feel is going to hold up in the long run versus the 5/4. You do kind of get a little bit more of a rough look, but I actually think that looks kind of cool. I mean, it's a deck at the end of the day. It's a wood deck. I think it should look a little rough. So,
yep. Yeah.
I mean, as far as like knots and stuff, you know what I mean? So,
yep. Wood by nature has just become kind of a rustic design thing now, right? I think it's just the fact that you use wood is more of a rustic look nowadays. So, we have a question that's coming from TimberTech Garrett.
I would agree.
And we're going to get you can see it there, but we're going to read it anyway because some people listening to this can't see it. What's more important to your business, word of mouth or social media?
And then there's a third one.
Or homeowner leads? Did he add that late?
He added that after, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say as far as they're both important. And if I'm being honest, I mean, I feel that both of them are word of mouth. I get, I feel like the customers know what they're getting with us. And I like to be everybody's deck guy, basically. Like, everybody's got a guy. I want to be that guy. So if you ever talk to somebody like, man, I really need some plumbing work, and then people go, oh, I got a guy I want to be that for a deck need. If the neighbor goes, man, we need a deck, and you go, oh, I got a guy. Give this guy a call. It helps advertising. It's less obviously money because it's just word of mouth, so you're not spending that much. But
Right.
social media, I feel like I can kind of get a different clientele from social media because, like, the guitar deck that I'm doing or that I did, there's not many people obviously that want to do that. But once social media opens up, I get phone calls, and now the creativity that I'm putting into my decks this year, I feel like people wouldn't have gave me that opportunity had I not done something cool prior to that. So I kind of think both of them, hopefully they both word of mouth for the cool stuff. Right now it's word of mouth for just if I do one deck for a neighbor, then a couple doors down, they give me a call and said, "Hey, my neighbor gave us your number," and that's cool. So
Yeah, it's, pardon the terrible pun, well in advance of me using it, but doing a big creative deck like that is kind of viral in a way, like, because you see it once you do one like that, people see it and then they're like, well, holy smokes, what can I do? Like, I didn't know you could do something like that. So what else could we do? How can I bring my person? Because I would have to assume that the guy you built the guitar deck for was probably a musician. Am I way out of line here?
Well, he was. He wasn't like, he's not like a famous musician or anything. Maybe in his own right, he probably jams out and thinks he's a rock star. But no, he's just a guy that appreciated art as well, and he did appreciate music. So, he kind of got the best of both worlds there. I mean, he had a good shape. The architect that designed it did a great job of kind of using the space and looking around the guy's home when he wanted something and saying, hey, let's put this, this Fender Stratocaster out there. And he drew it all up. And then, that's kind of how we brought it to life. Then they showed it to us. They actually tried to get a bunch of companies to price it out and stuff. And I just went directly to the architect. Like, look, I'm your guy. I'm going to knock this out of the park. And I went in there, showed him the colors we should use for it, and showed him different projects that I've done, and he knew that I just wanted it. I wasn't going to leave this freaking building until he gave me the job.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I want to
that guy, he just appreciated art. So
yeah, I want to come back to that because we need to talk about that deck a little bit more, but I want to get a hold of some of these questions we have here before they get too far up in our feed and ask you those right now.
Yeah.
So there's just a comment from Quigley Cable Rail that says, I used to stain decks, but not anymore. There's a national franchise in the US called Pro Wood Care. I'll refer my stain inquiries to them. So, I mean, right there, that tells you
there's a company here called Deck Rescue, and I've actually referred people to Deck Rescue.
Yeah.
But with the capabilities that I have of like I said, using my dad, and pre-staining the decks before they come up, we can do that in our shop. If someone calls me and they have a wood deck currently and they just want to stain it, that would be one that I would prefer to just pass on to somebody.
Right.
But if they want to take advantage of the service of having it done prior, I see an opportunity.
Certainly.
Bryce, do you think there's any value of us moving this camera to right here between so we're looking towards these cameras at the same time, or is it fine where it is? We're good to go where it is. Okay, so another comment here from Precision Construction Colorado, maybe that is. The guitar deck was sweet. How much creative license do you typically get?
What is define the license? I was reading that and I wasn't quite sure what he means by how much creative license.
I think
So,
he probably just means kind of creative freedom. Like how much do customers come to you and be like, yeah, just come up with an idea and go with it?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you know what? The more I keep getting projects like this, the more people are starting to just let me. They're just letting me do what I want to do. Luckily, that guitar deck, the architect designed that, and the architect kind of put the creative aspect out there, and we just brought it to life. I definitely would like to say that it was ours, my full idea. I'd love to take credit for that, but it was a combination of the architect, us, and then the homeowners allowing us to create something like that. So it was just it was a big team effort. So But
It's
with that project, it has opened up my doors for more creative projects. And I'm finding more customers are just giving me that freedom to do something cool. They trust my vision, I guess, is the best way to put it.
yeah, exactly. That, I mean, it certainly put you on the map. I don't know that I was following you or anything before that deck, but you certainly became very memorable once I saw that. As soon as it was like, who the hell did that?
How do you build?
What is this? And then right away it was like, oh, that's Henhouse, and it became a household name in my brain after that. It was like the guys who built the guitar deck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're the guitar deck guys now. So
exactly.
that's cool. You know, when I saw those plans, that's why I said I went in there and I said I got to have this deck. This is it was meant for me. Like this, that's like our Mona Lisa right now. You know, like it defined our career. Kenny, the other one that ends with a Y, he's the one that did all that work out there, and he loved that project. I mean, it was more. I mean, we you know, some people could say that we could have charged more for it, but in all honesty, we didn't do too bad on that project, and just the respect we got out of it was enough for me to I love that project. You know, I'm always going to have that in my portfolio now. So
exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's not often you can do a deck that then like becomes your personality. Like when you build a project that's so different and so cool that people then know you for it, you know you've done something well. And there's a lot more value to that project than just the dollars that you collected at the end of the job, for sure, right?
Yeah, because it continues to give.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. And don't get me wrong, we didn't do bad at it at all. But I guess what I'm saying is the price kind of came second. It was the opportunity and then the price. If that makes sense. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So since then, how many times have you been asked to build that same deck or something similar, an instrument shaped or guitar shaped deck?
I have not been asked to build another guitar shaped deck. I would love to. Yeah, we're up in Cleveland. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I was just going to say.
I've actually decided to draw these decks, and I'm actually just going to draw them and just send them. I don't know who to send them to yet, but I'm trying to figure out ways to maybe get my foot in the door. I mean, to me, it'd be kind of cool to like build a deck that's got like basically 3 guitars, right? So you can show all the different types of music and genres with those guitars in a sense, and put them out there, and maybe have a dock that overlooks on Lake Erie.
Man, so build one that is.
But I don't even know who I'd contact for that. So
build one that's like Slash's guitar, and then get a picture with Slash on there.
There's no way that doesn't happen at some point. There's no way that you don't build a deck for some guitar player from some big band at some point, or build the patios at Hard Rock cafes or at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like as if that's not going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
It has to.
It is, and it's funny because I did that. It's weird how that worked because when I did the guitar deck, I don't know how many people tagged me and showed me other construction companies that have done like patios that are in the shape of a guitar, or docks that have that look like an acoustic guitar. I think I saw.
Moisture Shield has one, right? That was like that.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if it's Moisture Shield.
Yeah, no, there's just so many people
out there. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure that deck is going to pay rewards to you for some time, for sure. You guys won an award with that actually already, right? You submitted that into the NADRA awards down.
Yeah, I submitted that to the NADRA. And we won in 3 categories. Overall for the most unique, which was kind of a no-brainer, I suppose.
Yeah. And
then I think we got 3rd for overall in the overall category. Okay. And then I also won most creative feature for Trex at Trex's summit they had this year. So.
Right, okay. And how fitting that award ceremony was in Nashville for that deck.
I loved that was. We left there with happy faces. So,
sure. So what would you consider to be your, like, not every deck you build is a guitar, obviously. What's your style? You kind of told me that you guys haven't really got into doing the curved decks as much, but what would you consider your style to be?
Well, I am doing a lot more curves. Okay. I don't do, I probably have 4 or 5 of them on the books right now, actually.
Okay.
But as far as style goes, I want to do something different. I want people in like a neighborhood or just anybody, even on social media. I want people to say, "Oh, that's a Hen-house deck," Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like, I think my new slogan I'm going to go with is, it's not just a deck, it's the Hen-house deck. And what that would mean is it's just something a little different than what somebody else would do. It's a little bit more thought out. Like I've been using all the colors of the transcend browns on decks, and putting inlays in the deck, maybe putting a barnwood pattern inside of an inlay, which is actually the one I'm going to go out today and take pictures of. It's actually pretty sweet. I saw, I believe it's Premier Outdoors. He's on Instagram. I saw he did one that had like a barnwood style inside of a square. So I sent him a message and I said, hey, mind if I kind of take your style and mix it in with my own? So that's the deck that we just did. So I'm excited to show what that project's going to look like. And then I feel like when people see that, you're going to say, oh, that's a Hen-house deck. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I guess, my style, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's still the opportunity to add chicken wire.
There's always that opportunity.
That could be yours.
We'll do it for you guys one time. Yeah. Even if we take it back down, we'll snap the picture and show it to you.
That would be great. Trex, you're all Trex. Is that right? That's your brand. You're a Trex Pro.
I'm not all Trex. I at the end of the day, I'm Hen-house Decks. So if a customer wants a particular product, I'm going to do that product.
Okay.
I'll voice my opinion on why I want to do Trex and things, but ultimately it's I'm not paying for the deck. The homeowner is. So if they have a reason why they want to go with, say, TimberTech, I'm not TimberTech market here.
Yeah.
Most of the closest supplier to me is a straight up TimberTech company, and they do a great job with it. And I find myself always running up against it. Sometimes I'll do some. Sometimes I'll flip it to Trex. But that's just kind of the market that I'm in, because TimberTech's based in Ohio. So
yeah, that's right.
I do a little bit of Fiberon lately too. I actually have been enjoying using some Fiberon. So
okay, yeah, I think it's good to have good to at least have experience with a bunch of different brands, so you can at least have some.
Then your opinion's valid.
So,
you know what I mean?
Validated your own opinion because you've used them all and you have reasons for liking it, not just because that's what you've always used. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yes. I mean, it's not a buy. It's not that like Trex just has done something to make me not want to turn my back on them or something. I mean, I've used all the products. I truly believe when I do a deck, I really love the way that the Trex deck turns out versus all of the products. I've used most all of them, and my guys would even admit, hey, we really like the way that this Trex deck works. They like the quality of it. They like the cuts, 45s, all the kind of crazy little things that we're doing in a deck. Trex just makes the most sense for us. So
right. Awesome, good. Marketing. We're going to talk about that a little bit. How do you? Obviously, the guitar deck has helped get your name out there in the Instagram community. But how are you spreading? How are you obtaining your jobs in your community? What kind of things are you doing that you find work?
So circling back to that word of mouth and social media, both those things have really been kind of stepped up for my company. I always pop a yard sign in people's yards, and then you get to drive by calls, things like that. I also really like the home and garden show.
Good call.
I feel that I'm a personable guy. My brother's very personable. We're a personable company, I guess, overall. And I like to talk face to face with people when we're at those things, which sucks when we're trying to do social distancing right now. But
yeah.
To me, I feel that people sometimes hire us because of we're just good old boys at the end of the day that are out there doing what we love to do, and we're not just a company providing a product that you don't really build a relationship with. You know what I mean? So I would say 99% of my customers have had an amazing experience with us versus another company they've possibly hired. They'll give us beers, they'll give us make us lunch and provide us with stuff, give the guys tips at the end of the job. It's because they're they really like the character that we're giving them. So
awesome.
You don't look like the kind of guy that would drink a beer.
Yeah.
No.
Usually probably have to have two. That's how I am.
Yeah. I don't drink a beer.
You're like, Wade, you don't stop at one. If you're going to have one, you're going to get all banged up. You're just going to keep drinking them.
Yep.
Do you guys all have beards too? Is that a thing? Is that a crew thing?
You know what? We do. I actually thought about being
Billy, Bobby,
our
Timmy
name
with all
to,
the beards.
I've often thought about changing our name to Deck Dynasty. I just thought it was funny.
Oh, man.
As you should.
You'd be in trouble for that, for sure.
As you should.
I actually think there is a company called that already, but
I think there might
it's
be.
funny.
But I think you have an argument to take that name.
We have an argument. Yeah,
For sure you do.
yeah. Billy, the other guy that ends with a Y, he just shaved. He had a beard. I mean, it made mine look like a joke. And then I don't know, he just shaved it one day, and then he was babyface for a while. But he's probably already caught up to me by now. So.
Yeah, 3 days later, it was longer than yours again. Right?
Yeah, that's how it works. Mine, this is taking some commitment to get it this way. I mean, but I'll go to the barber every 2 weeks. Well, I used to. I don't know what that's like anymore. So.
Yeah, I've booked a haircut in with my wife tomorrow, and I'm getting this shaved off. It's
Oh, did you? Nice.
I haven't yet, but it's going.
She was able to squeeze you in her schedule.
yeah. She squeezed me in for tomorrow. We're gonna take this thing right down because I'm not waiting another 4 weeks for a haircut. That's for sure.
I gave my boy I just shaved the side of his head, so he's got like a killer mullet right now. I almost just think that's just how I'm gonna keep his hair and just save some money.
I feel like this is probably going to be a trend that catches on pretty soon. Everybody giving themselves goofy ass haircuts and then posting that on TikTok or on Instagram or something. And then once it starts, it won't stop. Everybody will be walking around with bowl cuts and everything else. So
you're just looking real funny. Yep,
yeah. If you've ever wanted to try something, now's the time. Nobody's going to judge right now, right? How do you guys do your quoting? Everybody always kind of is curious about this. Other contractors about what everybody's process is. I don't need numbers, but I'm just kind of curious. Do you guys use just a spreadsheet kind of thing? Do you throw it into QuickBooks? How do you come up with your numbers for bidding jobs?
Yeah, so I actually have a couple ways. My brother works for me part time. He actually works for a company during the day that is like computer softwares and things like that. So he's very advanced in Microsoft Excel.
Okay.
And also in Access. So he has created, I made a formula of how much per square foot each item costs or how much for this, things like that. And then that formula, he's been able to put it down on Excel, and he can make it to where he can just plug it in and it spits the price out. And I like it because I can trust his numbers when he goes to a job, and he gives them a price, and I know that he hasn't broken my formula, which means that he's not going to be losing me money by giving the deck away or something.
Right.
I actually like to just use straight up pen and paper, and I just write my formula out, and then I go through and I price everything by that formula.
Sure.
I'm not. It's like I'm good with computers and stuff, but at the same token, I'm not. It's weird. I'm like in between. So I'd rather just do it with a piece of paper.
That's how I prefer to quote too. I'd rather just sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and actually build it. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'd put this here, and then I would do this. And as you're walking through the steps of how you would build it, I'm doing the takeoff. Right? So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Everybody wants the quick and easy solution of having something where they can just punch a number in, but there's always everybody's so hard, like they're so hesitant to trust that system, that formula, right? So it's good that you've been able to get there. It's not impossible to do. It just takes a lot of work to get there, to figure out your numbers and know your numbers.
I'd say it's taken me over 8 years or so to be able to really kind of factor that in. And there was times where I would do something, and we would price it, and then we'd realize, man, that formula didn't work on that one. You know, it was a little bit of trial and error. You know, I mean, it is what it is. So
we do the same thing every year. Over the winter we sit down, we relook at our numbers every year, and they change every year. It's like where are our contractors saying that they're not getting paid out enough to do this thing, and tweak that and adjust. Right, you're always constantly trying to figure out the numbers, and we've been doing that for now 4 or 5 years. So it takes some time for sure. We got a question from Oak and Turf in the Instagram here. Are gray decks or brown decks more popular in Ohio?
50-50, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Nice.
I would say it would be 50-50. So it's gray has been a very trendy color. A lot of people have been doing gray. Yeah. But as far as my company, sometimes I get sick of doing gray, so I start pushing browns, and it just works. So
good. Yeah, that's nice to have that split, so you can kind of get used to something else for a while. I know up in our market, browns sell. It's not that they don't sell, but it's very, very much a gray market up here. I would say the split's probably more like 80-20 up here for gray boards, but 50-50 would be nice to kind of change things up a little
brown deck because it looks more like a deck to me, right? Yeah. Like it looks more like wood. None of it looks like wood, but it looks more like wood. So,
well, TimberTech Garrett in the chat here would have something to say about that. That AZEK vintage line. He's fooling people with those picture frames. So, what would be, so you guys are 4 years in, you've got things kind of figured out. What would you say to somebody who's looking to do what you did, leave their job, start their own decking company, start their own business? Do you have any advice of things that you've learned that would be helpful for somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, it's surround yourself with good people. Kind of have a good game plan if you're going to do it. Make, when it's good, but you got to be prepared for when it's bad. How are you going to get through those times? Sometimes if with the economy that we have here in the States and certain seasons like spring, I mean, anybody could start up a deck business at a certain point because it's just there's so much demand on it. It's sticking it through. It's committing to it and making sure that you take care of guys. I've learned, and I keep learning that it's not, Henhouse just isn't me. I might own the company, but Henhouse is my dad driving to different places and making sure everybody's that materials are there. It's the guys that are out there working. It's the young guy we have carrying the 6x6 post so all the other Y-named guys don't have to put it in the ground. I mean, not put it in the ground, but have to carry it from the front yard to the back. And it saves kind of that, and everybody's happy. I mean, and that's been a lot of trial and error as well too. I mean, there's been times where, because my brother-in-law works for me, there's been times where him and I have had serious talks about we got to figure out something because at the end of the day, I'm stressed out to get to the next job, and we've just made these adjustments as we go. So,
yeah, the more I hear you talk, the more like I hear that your brand is just family, close knit. Everybody helps. It's a community type feel about your business. That seems to be like that's the brand of your company. Everybody pitching in, everybody getting things done.
It is. You're only as strong as your weakest link, as they say, right? So
and that's Adam.
Everybody.
That's for sure Adam.
That's Adam because he doesn't have a Y on the end of his name. So
he actually is our weakest link because he hasn't been in the business long enough. So he'll sell a deck that's super low to the ground and then want to know why we were all complaining about why it was tough to build. We're like, dude, we got to put beams and everything. We got to trench stuff out. It's like they should have just did concrete.
Yeah, exactly.
And to him, it's a deck. So I've got to kind of break him on that, but he's getting better. So
yeah, good. I don't know if this was if it was intentional or not, but you really, that guitar deck put you on the map on Instagram too, I think. But you've been on there for a while. What kind of value do you find out of Instagram as a platform as a whole, that whole community of deck builders and suppliers and everything, that micro community on Instagram? What do you get out of that?
Yeah, the biggest thing, inspiration. To me, it's been, I don't necessarily get leads from Instagram. I'll get leads from Facebook all the time, which is awesome because Facebook's more like around my community. You can be in close ties with people. Yep. But Instagram, I love it. It puts me in my own world. It puts me in the world of decks, and that's my world in a sense. I mean, it's a industry that I love. I study. I go to all the shows, and it shows me what other people are doing, and and hopefully I gave somebody ideas, and they want to use those, and I've also learned a bunch of ideas that other people have done, and I feel like it's just going to make us all a better industry at the end of the day. I can already see things changing from what everybody watches Dr. Decks, and I want to learn how to do a curve. How are you doing curves? Or Infinite Decks does these sweet little curves. I want to do those, and then there starts to become more requests for it. Not just for my homeowners. I mean, it's just people, deck builders are wanting to know how to do that so they could start offering that to their clients. So
yeah, the cool thing is that because we're all in different. I just went flat out biffed off my chair right there.
I saw that.
That would have made for some good TV right there. The cool thing is that because everybody's operating in different markets and they've formed these relationships almost as friends through direct message, essentially, everybody's willing to share. Everybody's willing to collaborate, right? If you have a question about how to do a curve or how to do the framing for something, you send a message to somebody, and everybody in that community is really willing to kind of open up and share because they know they're going to get it back at some point as well. So I think we can all echo that. We've all learned and helped others learn in this industry, and it's just resulted in a ton of really, really cool projects out there that probably wouldn't have existed otherwise.
Yeah, for sure.
Even like you messaging Sean, right, from Premier Outdoor, you message him and you're like, hey, I like what you did with that. Can I go ahead and can I use some of your ideas? If he was your neighbor, if he was on Facebook, he probably wouldn't want you to do that because you'd be in the same market, but he's not in your market. So it's like, yeah, man, go ahead.
That's 100%. I mean, to him, his reaction was, I'd be honored, which I thought was kind of cool because and I've had other guys approach me saying, hey, I did this kind of chevron pattern in a deck. And I think I saw that from somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it, but I've done it a few times, and people have messaged me, hey, you care if we incorporate that in our project? And I feel the same way. Like, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that inspired you to do something cool. And by all means, please do it, and maybe tweak it, maybe do something different with it that shows that, I didn't even think about doing it that way. That's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I've gotten that before too, especially on that curved, kind of like cantilevered pergola. I did that one time, the slat pergola. I had a few guys reach out afterwards and kind of ask permission in a way to rebuild that. And for me, it was like, absolutely, like that is super flattering. I came up with this design and now other people want to do it. But I also didn't feel like they didn't feel like they had to ask permission. I don't own the design. I did something cool. If you like it,
and 100%.
Have at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like as far as like the guitar deck goes or something, like if I design a deck for a customer, in my opinion, I don't ever give the designs to the customer. I show them what it looks like, and then, but that's part of my craft. Like to me, it's, I can just come out and give you a square and move on with my life. But I want to come out, even if it is a square, I want to put borders on it. I want to do colors. Maybe let's talk about an inlay. I want to design all those things because it's part of what makes Henhouse. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't own those things. I put a picture on Facebook if someone wants to use it. By all means, use it. I hope it's cool, So
yeah, awesome. Things may have changed, but what were your goals for 2020? Where are you in your business? Are you at a point where you're just happy with the size of the business and the things you're doing? Or are you still trying to grow and accomplish new things on the business front?
That's a good question. I mean, I like to. I like the direction my company's going. I like the creativeness that we're coming up with. I like, the guys, they're getting excited about things. They all came with me, not all of them, but a majority of my guys came with me to the Nadra Awards. And I wanted them to come because I wanted them to get a taste of what it felt like to be recognized among top tiers in your industry and an award. And what that, the award was awesome, but the big award at the whole end of everything was my guys walking away with the attitude of, how do we get that award again next year? What do we got to do? You know what I mean? Like that helped my business out because now I'd like to build them up with that kind of recognition, not just the name. You know what I mean? I've been trying to tell them to make Instagram accounts with Hen-house behind it so they can. And then they can post their own stuff on there, and people can ask them technical questions. I'm not a carpenter by trade, so sometimes I have to refer over to those guys. I know enough about it, but I'm business minded, marketing minded, and I come from selling materials, not installing decks. So That's why I need those guys next to me, just like they need me next to them. So
love it. I'm going to put a call out to the people on Instagram right now watching and tuning in. If you have any questions for Andy here and Henhouse Decks, fire away because we're kind of coming near. We're coming up on an hour, so we'll get some of those questions in here if they're still out there and answer those.
I think that idea of taking the guys to the awards is fantastic because when you're back building the projects and you ask them to recut a board or you explain to them like, you know what, guys, that just doesn't look right. I want to redo this. I want to rebuild it. They don't have a bunch of like angst and rage against that. They're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. If we're going to be a top tier deck builder, we need to do these things. We have to be better. So, and I think taking them to a show like that helps, right?
Sure. No, that's correct.
Yeah. And what was that? Did we just lose him? We lost him. We dropped your call. So we're going to dial you back in here real quick because we actually do have a question here. Again, anybody on Instagram that's tuning in, fire your questions over right away here. And we'll get Andy back on the line here. That's not bad, though. We made it just about 50 minutes before that loss.
Okay, I'm back. I had to grab my charger. My phone was dying, so.
We weren't sure if it was on our end or your end because we've been, I don't know what about this virus is affecting phone calls, but it seems to be dropping calls on everybody a lot more lately.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. You can hear us?
Yep.
Good. Okay. Question from Instagram here from Vinyl Guys. Any new trends that you might be spotting in the industry?
Yeah, I do see the curve market kind of coming back. A lot of people have been doing the curves, and in my market, I see a lot more guys making that effort to try doing curves. And I also see kind of like the blending of colors. A lot of people are taking risks, putting different colors on borders, just being different on their project. Versus, I mean, anybody can go out and run a 20-foot deck board on a 20-foot deck, and at the end of the day, product's pretty. It still looks good, but putting a border kind of shows your craftsmanship. And I think a lot of guys, especially in my market and what I see on Instagram, people are starting to do things that take a little bit more time because they also value their craft. So
yeah, those are a couple of good ones for sure. So going back to the award and bringing your guys there so that they feel fired up and they want to win another award, that creative category, that's a tough one. How do you have anything on the books for this year that you could possibly top that deck with and win that category again?
Most creative, no. Do I have some things on the book that I'm very confident in to submit? Yes, I think I have 3. So
good, awesome, excited to see those happen.
Yep.
Is it going to happen this year?
Oh, that's a great point. I don't know how much risk that shows at right now.
Like they're canceling things that are, August, September out right now. So
yeah. I know JLC Live got postponed back until the fall. Like the one that was supposed to happen about a month ago got postponed back to about a month before Deck Expo. But yeah, the longer this thing goes on, the more it's like, boy, is Deck Expo even going to happen this year? Speaking with, we've most of the way kind of avoided this topic a little bit, but how is this stuff affecting, because everybody wonders right now, how is this affecting you guys? You're not shut down, which is good. So at least you're still able to get out there and work, because there's other guys in other markets that are not allowed to work right now. And that's a tough situation to be in. But what are you experiencing from this whole pandemic situation right now? And how are you dealing with it?
You know what? In all honesty, people seem to be, my phone's still ringing. People are
Awesome.
still wanting projects. They still want things done. So it's been, I'm blessed that people are able to do that still. And I feel that people are still committed in their projects. I mean, people have money put aside for their deck. I see them still doing that. It might be, you might not get somebody who wanted to finance it or had to scrape the money up to do the deck and maybe holding off. But I mean, a lot of people aren't spending money on the vacation they were going to take this year, and instead they're going to invest it in their home. So right. To me, it's actually not been bad. So
good. That's really good to hear. I know that there certainly is the potential, and it's becoming more and more reality every day, that people are going to be kind of homebound this summer. I don't mean that they're not going to be allowed to go out at some point, but they're going to be spending more time in their backyards, not camping, not taking holidays, not whatever. They're just going to be spending it outside. So we've dropped them again here. You got to dial them back in here because we have another question that we'll ask. But we're seeing those people, some of our customers coming in even, right, saying, I think I should do my deck because it needs to be done. And it wasn't really a high priority, but with the fact that we're going to be spending a lot more time at home this year, I think it's time to get this thing moving. So his phone, we might have lost him, but we were kind of at the end of it there anyway. There is a question that we'll touch on if we can't get Andy back on here. From New Techwood Canada, says, being a creative deck builder, is there a profile or lumber imitation or shape you would like being done in composite beams or anything? So I hope we can get him back to answer that question, or else people have to hear our opinions on that. And I don't know if anybody wants that. I'll touch on that. I do think I'm going to read that again just to make sure I'm understanding the question correctly. Being a creative deck builder, is there a profile or lumber imitation or shape you would like being done in composite beams or anything? So I do wonder sometimes if there's an opportunity for composite framing lumber. And I know it exists. There is a company that, what are they called? Renew Plastics or something to that effect, that does make framing lumber. I have no idea the cost of it, but there's certainly, there would be some value there, because we keep telling people that they're putting, did we get him back there? We keep telling people that, you're back, Andy?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. My phone died actually.
The girlfriend called in. Hey, knocked us off.
Yeah, the girlfriend called in, so I had to hurry up and leave and take that phone call. So.
Okay, we've got a question here from New Techwood Canada that says, and it's for you: being a creative deck builder, is there a profile or lumber imitation or shape you would like to be done in composite, like the beams or anything? And so I'm wondering if they're kind of asking, like, do you think there's an opportunity for maybe these composite companies to be making framing lumber out of composite or something, or just different profiles and decking?
No, we typically will just I feel like wrapping it. I mean, the cost that would probably cost for that frame to be in composite would probably be super expensive. I've done some steel framing. I've done elevations. I've done it on several jobs. I actually did one in Cleveland when I worked with my other company. Or worked for the other company, however you want to put it there. And that was a big deck on Lake Erie. I think a lot of people know of that project, but that was all elevations. That was a large project, and I did see that the advantage of that was great. So
good. Is that something you try to upsell people to, the steel framing option, or do you only kind of go there if they ask for it?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think doing a frame's a little bit better. So a wood frame. So
you just prefer working with it better, or cost?
Yeah,
or
I'm sorry, I was logging back into the Instagram here.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I feel that there's an advantage to having the steel framing, but at the end of the day, I think that are you guys there?
Yep, we can see you again. You're actually much more clear this time. I don't know what you did. You must have switched to the wife's phone on this one.
Yeah, no, I traditional lumber, I feel that if you do an upgrade with your beams and use 2x12, things like that, we could certainly kind of eliminate a little bit of a cost that people don't necessarily need to spend for a metal frame. But right. I do see the advantage in a metal frame. So
yeah, that's the catch, right? The cost is coming down in the metal frames, it seems, a little bit, especially with we've got Trex elevations and now having Fortress Evolution, they're calling it. Mm-hmm. That framing system come out. The cost is starting to come down on them a bit. And there's certainly value in them, but it's always going to be tricky trying to get contractors or carpenters who work with wood to want to learn something new and work with metal now. That's always going to be a little bit tricky.
Well, and
it's a different install process, you know?
Yeah, it's a different process, different tools required. It's like, Yeah, that's it. It's like, it's not, because it's not perfect, right? Everybody, they know how to use wood and they're very comfortable with it. And it's like,
we're going to lose the Instagram live here again because it's going to end here. So we'll have to restart this again here in a second, Andy. But anything else that you wanted to discuss today, Andy? I didn't really reach out to you for topics that you may want to touch on today. Was there anything that you wanted to, Brace, do you want to handle that? Because I don't want to
share to story.
I don't know that we have the option to save it, but I'll let you touch that. But is there anything that you wanted to chat about today, Andy, or questions that you had that you thought would make good for the podcast?
No, I think we touch base on stuff. You know, like I said, I like to take pride in the guys that work with me. It's taken me a long time to appreciate the trade that they offer to me, and it's easy to kind of separate when you're a sales guy and designing and you're not out on the field. And lately I've just realized, not necessarily lately or just realized, but the more I'm getting into my career, the more I really value those guys. And I just like to take pride in that and tell people, hey, it's just more than Hen-house Decks. It's all the guys. We all make that company as one, you know. So if I didn't have those guys, I couldn't do the cool stuff that I'm doing. So
right. Yeah, that's a lesson learned. I think we're going through that a little bit right now too. How we did our hiring this year was a little bit different, and we maybe made the point of hiring people with a bit more life experience.
Yes,
this year,
absolutely.
And we're already being like, boy, we should have done this earlier. We should have got people that would treat this as a career more than just a temporary job.
Yeah,
because they just care more, and then that obviously that's better for the business. So
I jokingly say that to my wife all the time. It's like, we should have hired adults a long time ago.
yeah. So I think we'll leave the IG alone because we're probably wrapping up the podcast here anyway. So Andy, I want to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. I know this is short notice. You kind of reached out the other day, and I was like, well, let's do it. Let's make it happen right now. So I appreciate.
Yeah, and sorry. I mean, with having to do it this way. Hopefully, it wasn't a hot mess for you guys, but it kind of seems that way. But hopefully, somebody got some good feedback on that. So
no, I think it was great. This is kind of the first time that we've tried to do the IG live with the interviewer at the same time and then do the podcast. So there was a lot of things working here. We've got four cameras set up, 2 phones, 2 microphones.
I think next week we should bring the drone in and fly that around and record it on the drone too.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Put that on there, and then also get Facebook Live going. I mean, why stop it just where you're at? You know?
Exactly. Well, if we keep going the way we're going and we add a camera a week, that's probably not far away.
Yeah.
So
you'll be able to do the 360 round right away.
Yeah, that's right. So thanks, Andy, for making time. Yeah. Why don't you give us your handle? What's your actual? How do you spell it out on Instagram?
So it's Henhouse, which is all one word, and then _Decks. So Henhouse_Decks.
Okay, so for anybody listening to this podcast, which is most of the world, I'm fairly certain, especially during
at least
during
11
isolation.
of them.
For anybody following along, make sure you follow Hen-house Decks to at least go back and check out that guitar deck that they did because it's one of a kind. It's really, really cool, and it sounds like they have some wicked stuff coming up.
3 in the pipe,
so I'm excited to see that as well. So, Andy, take
care.
Oh yeah,
and check out the framing. The framing on that guitar deck is something special too. That framing was so sweet that we almost didn't even want to cover it up. You know, that's how good it was. So.
Yeah, I actually hadn't made the effort to find the framing pictures for that before. I had only ever seen the finished product, but the other day when you contacted me, I was trying to show my staff member or somebody, I can't remember who I was trying to show, like kind of who you were and what you did. And of course I went right to that deck and saw under Google Images some pictures of the framing, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I like that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Seeing the bones before it gets covered up when it's a little bit unique, and took some extra creativity on the framing side of things too. So it's pretty cool. So thanks so much, Andy, for joining us. That's Hen-house Decks. Make sure to give him a follow, and make sure to give us a follow. We are pumping out content like it's nobody's business on YouTube right now. So
we're everywhere.
If you're not following us on YouTube, head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Ultimate Deck Shop's YouTube account. Hit the notifications bell so that you can get notified when Bryce puts these videos up. We've got a bunch of series going on over there right now. Series?
I don't know.
What did you take issue with there?
Series is.
The series is?
Yeah. Just series.
Serious. They're pretty serious as serious is. So we've got the Ultimate Deck Show, which is a long format, all video. It's not the podcast. A lot of people think they're the same thing. They're not. It's the podcast is the audio thing, and we shoot separate shows for the Ultimate Deck Show. Yep. And we just try to teach people about products. We try to teach them about the different decking lineups, different things, with a little bit of humorous banter between us, and it's a little bit longer format. Yep. And then because some people complained about that, we came out with a new series called Deck Shop Shorts, or as we call it, Deck Shop Shorts. And it's a short format. That thing's like, they're about 3 minutes long, and it's just right to the details. It's just me. We avoid the banter and interaction back and forth, and we teach you a little bit about that. What else we got? We post the podcast live on YouTube now, right? That goes up there. We've got product spotlight videos we're putting up there now. And I mentioned we have a couple new ideas. One's an older idea that we shot a bunch of footage for, and Bryce is going to put that up tomorrow. I've been waiting eagerly for this thing. He's been working at it for like a month and a half. We're going to try to get that one up soon. And then we have a new idea that's really cool too that we haven't even started shooting yet, but we're going to do that too. So make sure to follow us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, Andy.
Always a pleasure to have everybody join us. Thanks, Andy, for joining us today. Follow Hen-house Decks.
No problem, guys.
Follow us everywhere we are.
Stay well.
See you next week.
Take care.
You've been listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast.
Ultimate Deck Podcast.
Brought to you by the Ultimate Deck Shop. Shop with us at www.ultimatedeckshop.com or check us out at all the social networks we can keep up with. Hit us up for any collaboration or sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for listening.